It's Backstage Pass with Steve Ryan. And here's your host, Steve Ryan.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a chatterbox. Nowadays, I never used to be, but there you go. Sorry about that. Anyway, nice to meet you, Steve. That's all I have to say.
I try to push out one a week, and I just pushed out. I just did Susie Quattro.
Oh my God! Now you're talking my language. I love her. I'm a fan of hers.
Me
now, that
too.
is class, and that is history, and that is one of the legends, big legend. Yeah, I loved her. I saw because she was this small woman. First time I saw her was this small woman with this huge guitar, and then there was a big chap next to her. Apparently, she was with one of the people in the band. I wasn't sure if it was him or not, but he had a really big hairdo all over his face, and he looked like he was a minder actually. But
yeah,
I love her.
I didn't want to forget to show you.
Oh my God, you got a t-shirt?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, yeah. There are many more on my site as well, because I actually did a selfie of the one where I'm going like in Zoolander, and I love that. Yeah.
Hey, I have a crush. I have a confession.
Okay.
In the 80s, I had the biggest crush on you. but I mean,
that's very sweet.
I mean the mohawk and the sassy music and the sassy lyrics, and I just could not get enough of Bow Wow Wow and you in particular. And man, so this is a bucket list conversation for me.
Oh, bless. Thank you. That's very sweet. That's really sweet of you to say. And I really genuinely mean that, because, you know, when you're at my age, because, you know, I'm not a spring chicken anymore, it's always nice to A, be remembered, B, to be invited to all these wonderful places to perform for people, but also just to continue doing what I've always done, really. And the short history of the band, obviously, was that we were very, very short history in comparison to a lot of groups that were around after us, but continued for many, many years. So I don't know if we got forgotten in the foray, but, we had the drummer and the guitarist who were both in Adam and the Ants. And as far as I know, from the press release at the time, the bass player was a week in the band, and then they auditioned because for some unknown reason, Malcolm didn't want Adam to be the singer. So even though Adam had asked his help, they decided to go off and, you know, continue as a three-piece for 5 minutes, and then they were auditioning apparently a few months. And because I love music from the get-go. I've always loved music every day. But I used to listen to a lot of the older artists, well, older to me at the time, obviously. People like Joan Armatrading, and I could resonate with that one, me, myself, and I. And also Stevie Wonder was my biggest love, because of the songs in the Key of Life album. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he sang one of those songs, actually, Love's in Need of Love Today, on the Fire Aid, I saw, which I thought was excellent. And I had the greatest, because he was one of my heroes, called Bucket List, I guess you'd like to say. And it was the most bizarre meeting. I met him totally unexpectedly. And I think it was Providence or fate, but because he had been in my life for many years, you know, with the inner visions and all of that, because I always thought he was a very spiritual man. And I was at the NAMM show. It's a kind of a show they do for for musical equipment. I'm gathering all the people who have musical equipment need to go along and check out the newest and latest things that they can use. And so along with that, they have artists. And I know this sounds like really surreal. It really was surreal for me at the time. But I was walking through the hallways with the person who'd invited me, and I just heard this piano, Ribbon in the Sky. And I went, oh my God, that's Stevie Wonder. I'm sure it's Stevie Wonder. And out of the blue, somewhere a little bit later, there was like a huge entourage coming towards us, a huge bunch of people. And out of nowhere, Stevie Wonder appeared, like out of a cloud, but he came out of the entourage. And I looked up and I went, oh my God, I've been a fan of yours ever since I heard your songs when I was younger. And I said, you inspired me to do what I do. I'm a singer. My name is Annabella. And he just got my hand. And it was almost like he saw me through those
Yeah.
dark shades that he wears, you know. And he grabbed my hand, put it to his chest. And I will never forget that meeting as long as I live. And he went, carry on. Good,
Wow.
good. I'm so glad. And that's all.
Wow.
And that then he was gone with all the entourage moving with him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I sang I Will Survive to
Mhm.
Malcolm, but which was officially my audition song for him.
Really?
It
Thelma
was
Houston?
hilarious. Yeah, I actually had to do another audition for him so he could hear my voice, which was funny. But it was with my mother, meeting her, and in my mother's home at the time.
Did you
And
know who Malcolm was when he came?
no, I didn't have any
Uh-huh.
clue. And I wasn't impressed, I have to be honest. When I first saw him, I have to be honest. Anyway, that's another whole story. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't impressed. But he did become for me someone I looked up to.
Mhm.
Obviously, he was a genius.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I mean, apparently, you know, apart from what he had, because I didn't know anything. All I know is I heard the Sex Pistols on the radio at age 9, and I thought, oh my God, what a racket, you know. Except for Pretty
Yeah.
Vacant. I always loved that song. Pretty
Mhm.
Vacant, you know,
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
song. But then I was 9, you know, at the time. So that's all I knew about that particular band. And then when I finally met this chap, it really was like, and who are you?
Yeah. And how old were you then?
Well, I was 13 and a half going on 14 that year. Yeah. He
Unbelievable.
enlisted me just before I had my 14th birthday. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. And so the guys had left Adam and so did he have the band together and he was looking for a singer? Is that what the story is?
Well,
Or the other way
apparently,
around?
I, I heard that he had been paid money to give ideas to Adam. And I found out all the ins and outs later. So I'm just going to stick with what I knew at the time because you're asking me at the time. And I'm going back to that period, which is like yesterday, I have to be honest. You can never forget things like that happen.
So then you guys put the band together and
Well, the band was the musicians, bass, drums, guitar. And as I say, Dave Barbarossa, he liked to be called, and Matthew Ashman, who was the guitar player and really my right hand man, um, were together in Adam and the Ants, from what I gather. And I know this because I actually had some dealings with Adam. So finally got to meet him many, 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 many moons later, which was nice because I didn't know him, you know, from Adam, excuse the expression, but it was true. And
and he wasn't mad at you.
I don't know. That's a good question. I never asked him that, but I met him at Malcolm McLaren's funeral.
Oh,
You know, I never knew I'd be still singing at my age, I have to be honest, but
yeah.
I'm very grateful that people, you know, have invited me to still be doing that and going to shows and having wonderful, like, you know, I have a show coming up May 17th, and that's at the Guild Theatre in Menlo Park. And I'm not, you know, with huge major bands like a Led Zeppelin or somebody, but not that they probably would have me, although I have supported Queen in the past,
I
and the
know.
Pretenders and the
I
Police,
know.
yeah, and Joan Jett. But anyway, I'm moving along.
Hey,
It's nice.
there's my picture with me and Joan right there.
Okay,
I met her a couple years ago.
okay. Oh, there
Yeah.
you are, up there.
Yeah.
There you are. She's beautiful. I
Oh, I
always
love
thought she
Joan.
was so beautiful. She's got the most beautiful almond eyes,
Yeah,
and
she does. And
she's
she's
really,
so nice. She is
and
so
she is.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she really is. The musical genre we were in was like three different kinds of genre. It was pop, rock, and punk.
Yeah.
And the punk element came from obviously the association with McLaren, but also the early stuff, the cassette pet. And I don't know if you've heard or seen the cassette pet, but it had 8 songs on it, which didn't make it an album. And so we had a hard, you know, a hard a lot to contend with because at the beginning we had the C30 track
Yeah.
and I was doing that. So it felt completely normal and natural for me to be singing, you know, every day I get a brand new show because it's what I do. Songs, all of those songs on the cassette tape were really Malcolm, and the music obviously was written, done by the musicians with Malcolm.
I read that C30 was the world's first cassette single.
Yes, yes, apparently so. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But unfortunately, shortly after we released that song, then Adam came out with "Dog Eat Dog."
Yeah.
Sure was a message to Malcolm. I'm convinced that was the case because he's a really special artist in my eyes. He always was. So I didn't know the history of what went on because I wasn't there, obviously.
Yeah.
All I got told was Malcolm thought he was too old, which I thought was odd because he's still performing and he's he's amazing. He is amazing to watch and I give him, it's like one of those because you do, when someone's almost 70, you kind of go, wow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was wrong of Malcolm to do that, I think.
Hey, and when the Sea Jungle album came out, that caused a little bit of controversy, the album cover, didn't it?
Yeah, which was his intention, of course. I mean, when you look back on these things, that was obviously his intention at the time. I mean, Malcolm was a very, very clever marketing man. In fact, I would say that's what I meant when I said he was a genius. He was an extremely clever marketing man, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly how to do it. And he was a master manipulator, of course, of the press. And he managed to do that, which is where that song Chihuahua came from. He wrote that song, supposedly me singing it to the press. But I actually said, no, it's me singing about myself, and I did not like any of the lyrics. But of course, he wanted to put it out as a single. And instead, we just did a video, I think, for it at the time, Chihuahua. And it's a really hard song to do on stage unless you've got, all the sounds and the vocals, because it's got tons of everything on it. But plus, I'd have to change the lyrics up, which I always do. So
I heard your mom was pretty upset about that.
Oh, the album cover.
The album cover.
Which one? Because there were a couple, weren't there?
Well, there were a couple, but I was going back to the Sea Jungle because you were like 14.
No, I was 15 by then, I think.
15?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some nudity there on that cover. I mean, it doesn't show stuff, but I mean, it's obvious your clothes are off.
I was completely starkers, as Matthew would have said. Matthew Ashman, God rest his, or bless you, and I hope he's still there on occasion watching over. It was not meant to be anything but a portrayal of a painting, a very famous painting by not Monet, because there was a Monet, but this is Manet, Déjeuner sur l'herbe, Picnic in the Grass. And I think the weirdest thing about that was I saw when he showed me this painting, the way the woman was the only one looking at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting. And of course, I said no immediately. But the point being, my mother did get upset because of the way it was shown to her, is all I'm going to say. And who it was shown to her by. Because before that, of course, she was freaking out that I had left home. Well, there was a gold cover. I was all gold.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Blue background, but that was specifically for the States. We had to re-record certain songs a little slower so that they weren't as fast, so that people could understand what I was singing. It was called Candy.
Yeah, I Want Candy.
And I think that was like an EP thing. And on the back, there's a live photograph of us dancing, me and the two dancers. It's like a black and white thing. It's really cool, actually. I love black and white pictures too, if they get the angles right. I mean, I don't really think I've changed that much, actually, except obviously I'm older and, as I said, I hope wiser, but we'll see. As time goes on, lessons learned. But it's not just harking back to the past. it's also moving forward. You have to move
Mm,
forward in your life. You can't keep paddling water, you know.
yeah.
You, and as artists, that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to progress and evolve. And thank you for mentioning my song Stone Jumping. I wrote that quite a while ago now. Yeah.
Did you feel like you were a rebel though? I mean, you came across, and maybe it was Malcolm's marketing, but you came across as so confident and sassy. And, I mean, I just wanted to, I couldn't get enough. I mean, I was so intrigued when I saw the I Want Candy video, Annabella. I mean, you took my heart. It's like, I
Oh,
love her. I need more of that.
oh, bless. Well, I'm glad you felt my vibration because I was happy because the guys were buried up to their heads in the sand.
I
I
know.
thought
I
that
love
was an
that.
awesome idea by the director. We saw what was going on, I think, with
Yeah.
the what they call the vibration that was going on between me and the three older guys, and I think he may have done that as a joke.
Yeah, but did you realize that you were kind of becoming a fashion icon, and people were picking up on your vibe? I mean, because there weren't a lot of female artists. I mean, we were talking about Susie Quattro earlier, but she wasn't sporting this image that you were. I mean, again, I had never seen a female with a mohawk before, and I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
my mouth dropped, and oh man, I loved that so much. But did you realize that at the time?
um no is the short answer, but also I didn't have the idea to get that hairstyle. um I won't take credit for anything I didn't do, by the way. I'm not that person. I never
Yeah.
will be. Anyway, point being, yeah, I did not know I was supposedly a fashion icon, except for obviously Vivian was a huge instigator of the clothes. She designed everything, but I loved her clothes. I met her and personally, at her home and saw how she worked and had huge respect for the way she beavered away,
Mm.
in her fashionings. Yeah,
Yeah. Can we talk about Baby Oh No?
sure, yeah.
That's one of my favorite songs by you. And I had
Oh.
read, tell me if this is true. Did Kenny from Joan Jett's band, did he produce that or involved in that or something like that?
Well, he was working with Richie Cordell on the song Candy, of course, which was that EP I mentioned.
Hmm?
So Kenny, I think he produced one version of that song because we had another version, didn't we? We had a really fast version and we had a slower version. So the slower version may have ended up on that EP that I just mentioned. But Richie Cordell and Kenny were like magic. They were together. They were like magic. He's a man with cash in his hands. My baby, oh no. Look Friday night when I'm feeling alright. I'm so ready to go with my baby, oh no. But baby, oh no. You make me lose my self-control. I go crazy, whoa. If baby, oh no doesn't show. That's how I heard the first time I heard Candy. I did not actually think it was me.
Really?
I actually, because by that time I was so used to all the shenanigans that were going on within the infrastructure of what was going on in the so-called founders of the band, which is ironic because it was really Malcolm that put it together anyway.
Right. Right.
And he slung me in there to get to grips with everything whilst we were writing songs still. We were still writing songs, which is when I started getting my proper education with the way he did things. And it was very, very, it was very unorthodox, I realize now later on in the years. But in answer to your question, yes, I think he did. Kenny Laguna, beautiful sounds they always had. And they always made me sound really nice as well with all the vocal stuff. But it was as you hear it. They didn't stick on loads of, because I actually remember saying, I want to sound like me,
Yeah.
always. But Baby Ono was, I think it was actually penned by the drummer. I think Dave came up with the idea for that.
My favorite song that you've done is from When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Get Going. Do You Want to Hold Me?
Thank you.
Man, I just love that song. I could listen to that song on repeat over and over and over again. Was that a Mike Chapman song?
When you say Mike Chapman's song, he produced the whole album. It was recorded in Basing Street Studios in London. It was called at the time. But the song "Do You Want to Hold Me," again, the whole album was written with me and Matthew in his living room in Notting Hill Gate. If you can imagine, doom digga 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 doom. I'm thinking of the heavy dub, reggae vibe there. And then we're writing this kind of poppy, this is our new progression album. So we did a good job, I think. And thank you whenever anyone tells me they like that. Because that was a single, which no one really mentions as much. And Baby Ono, you mentioned, was a single. We did a video for Baby Ono.
I love them both.
Yeah.
What's the time? Hey, buddy. It's kind of got this beach Jamaican sound. You know what song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
And when I think about that,
song.
What's that?
It's called I think of it as the stop and start song. It starts and stops. It starts and stops. And then it finally finishes. Go, okay.
It sounds to me like something No Doubt would have done later.
Oh, wow.
Be way before you were doing it, way before No Doubt was around. But you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Man, I've kept you way past what I promised. Are you okay for a couple more minutes? Because I want to talk about.
I'm good.
Okay.
I feel that you haven't asked me or everything though, so it's okay. Feel free to ask what you would like to know that you haven't had a chance to ask me.
I haven't because and I've skipped a lot because I know I could talk to you forever. But so maybe we could do a follow-up at times. But yes. I really wanted to talk about your fever.
In the UK, when you come over.
In the UK,
yes. All over the place. In Germany,
yes.
in Paris.
Yes, you can take me. Yeah, you can take me out on a tour. The Fever LP the solo album that you did, and you did the Peggy Lee song. And I remember the first time I heard that and I was like, what? And it was so good. And another song on there is Desire. I love that song.
Yep. Julia Downs. What a great writer she was to work with. Awesome lady as well. Loved working with her. Lost touch, unfortunately, with some of these people because they all did it through the record company bods, you know. And in those days, I just went in the studio and worked with the people that they put me together with, as opposed to me having any input because I was still, you know, 17, 18, 19. And it was a period of my life where I was in a bit of shock, actually, after the guys in the band decided to kick me out without actually asking and telling me.
I heard you read about it. I heard you found out by reading about it.
Yes, I did. In the music press, I just picked up one day and I went, what? Because I thought we were recuperation period. But the irony about that, of course, is that the guitar player went off and formed Chiefs of Relief. And I think the bass player and drummer tried to form a band. But I don't know why they did that. I don't know. I have no comprehension of any of that, except for it's a real shame. They felt the need to. That I think, you know, that's the problem that can happen with some people. They have these huge egos.
You guys, all these years later, you guys have never talked about it. You're not on speaking terms even now.
Oh, you're talking about the bass player that
Anybody
went off and did what he did. Yeah,
when they sacked you and didn't tell you.
He made the same mistake, didn't he?
Yeah.
What can I tell you? I tried 3 times to do the same thing, and he did it. And unfortunately, the last time was really bad because my mother had just died, and that's when he approached me about doing. Hey, why don't we work together again? And all these promises made that were never kept, as usual. And the long story short of it is, as I was talking about egos, when people think that they are more important than anybody else in a situation just because they're this or they're doing that, it actually messes everybody else up. But it was nothing to do with us being friends because we were never friends anyway from the get-go. But I tried to work with someone that was, to me, you know, a bass player from my original lineup. But if you can't make it work 3 times, then you know, and it really doesn't make any difference to me because I'm still doing what I've always done. I just have a different bass player, and I have to be honest, all the musicians I work with are not only nice, amazing musicians, but they're great. They're just nice people, and that's kind of what I want to continue with from now on. It's too much stress, you know, when you have people who think they're more important than they really are, and I've always tried to keep my feet on the ground. And I'm not famous by any means. I'm just a girl that was singing in the 80s, and I started writing songs. And if people love my songs or like my songs, I want to hear about it. And if they buy my songs, that would be wonderful, you know. But it's definitely definitely different dimension for those of us who don't have a record label paying all the bills, who don't have an A&R person, who don't have a manager, who don't have the machine, I call it, with all the publicity and the stylists. And it's definitely a different world when you are an independent artist. So I have to say high five to all of those who are doing it. And not just as a hobby, obviously, because that doesn't equate. I don't understand that theory about, well, this isn't, you know, this is not a job. It's not a hobby. This is my life.
Yeah.
This is what I just had, you know.
I just had a similar conversation, and he said kind of the same thing you just said. Lamal from Kajagoogoo was just on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Limal, I actually came across Limal. We did a regeneration tour. He was on the regeneration tour bus, or he came onto the bus a couple of nights. But then he went back to the hotel because he thought it was more his street, because, you know, being on the road is not easy, as most people who've been doing it a long time know. But I have to be honest, it's exactly true. So I take my hat off to independents and the smaller bands who were the younger bands, like Millie and the Shut Up on it, who are supporting us in the UK this year. I'm so looking forward to it because she's like, they're kind of, I don't know if they're starting out. They've probably been together a while. And I understand they've got a lot of fans too. But it's about how they are with everybody else. I always go by how they are with people.
Yeah.
You know.
Where do you want people to go so they can follow you and keep up on what's going on, and where tour dates and stuff like that, your social media?
Yeah. Well, it's as I said, it's the one mentioned earlier on, myname.com, and all they have to do is check it out, if they want to, because I know that there are some dates being advertised with Big Country, or another version of a band called Big Country. But I am very adamant and clear on this, that I've been doing the same thing as I've been doing for many years, except I have a different bass player. And obviously, guitarist died in 1995, Matthew Ashman, whom I really miss. When I look back on how stupid I must have been at the time in his eyes, because I was pretty stupid, not just naive, but stupid. I was a teenager, and it's funny how people would have crushes on me as a teenager, because, I never wore any makeup then. I wear a lot more now on stage, but also I'm hoping they remember the vibration, because I always tell people, if I stop feeling that feeling that I feel, I will just stop. I won't be doing this anymore. But it's up to the fans to let me know.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of my fascination with you in the 80s was that we were about the same age.
Oh, okay.
And you were, you were somebody who I could relate to, I felt.
Like your sister.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, not quite, because I had a crush on you. So it's a little bit different.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
Like we were talking about earlier, when you meet people that you admire, and hopefully they don't let you down. I still have a crush on you today, even after this conversation. So thank you so much, Annabella.
Oh, you're so welcome. And please come and see us if you can. Come to a show. But I see you, and I will speak on another level. It's kind of weird because I just get vibrations. I really do see you traveling and doing podcasts. I really do.
Hope you're right.
I see you traveling. But yeah, please come see us, because I like to get feedback, and I have to say to the fans, I don't try to be anything but just me, because as singers, we're just presenting ourselves. We're not actors. We're not trying to be something we're not. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to keep an eye on your U.S. tour dates too, and
Thank you.
Maybe I'll be able to make a show. I'd love to meet
Please
you
feel free.
at a meet and greet. Thank you so much for giving me time today. I really appreciate you, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Bless you, Steve. Don't forget about that idea. Be well.
I will not forget that.
Take care. I'll see you on the road some point.
Hope so.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
For questions or comments, email Steve at steveryan.songoftheday@gmail.com.